Steph Curry, the name alone shakes the foundation of the NBA. And once again, he's proving why he's the greatest shooter in the history of mankind. Steph Curry dominates the NBA MVP race, forcing ESPN to do what they hate the most: admit their shameful misjudgment. Curry has become such a force that ESPN had no choice but to publicly reverse their stance, praising him in the most embarrassing fashion.
So the Warriors, they are going to look a little bit different this season. It will be the first year that they will start without Klay Thompson on their roster since 2010. One half of the Splash Brothers, Golden State, his career ended with a sign-and trade that sent Thompson, of course, to the Dallas Mavericks. And the Warriors did acquire Buddy Hield, Kyle Anderson in that trade, and Golden State also signed DeAnthony Melton as a free agent. But they found little help in the draft. They did not have a first-round pick, remember. So is this enough for Steph Curry becomes the question. The all-time leader in threes signed a one-year extension and is entering his 16th season. The pressure to maximize the window Steph has, Warriors GM Mike Dunleavy already laying out his plays and his plans for the season. Take a listen.
There's no point in going all in to be, slightly above average. When you go all in, you got to feel like you're all in. We're probably as impatient as a franchise as you can be right now, given our time horizon and all that. But there's a fine line between impatience and undiscipline. And I feel good about the discipline that we held this summer and the roster we built and the growth from within that we're going to have. And so we're in a good spot heading this year. And I know everybody's always looking for big headline breaking news and all that, but I really like this team.
So Golden State finished outside the playoffs in 2024 with their 46 wins, and Kevin Pelton in his metrics projected them to be in the same area in 2025. But Bobby Marks, what are the Warriors' roster options this season?
Well, when you traded Klay Thompson, it gave you some roster flexibility, and I think the impatience of Mike Dunleavy, I think you're looking at probably like a 30-day game scenario as far as how you can evaluate the roster. The big thing for me, Malika, these are some things to keep an eye on. Certainly October 21st, that is when Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody are extension eligible. That is the deadline. If neither player are extended, certainly both players could be trade candidates during the season. The other thing is December 15th. That is the first day when DeAnthony Melton, Buddy Hield, Kyle Anderson, those three players can be trade eligible. The expiring contracts of Gary Payton and Kevon Looney, keep an eye on them. And then here's the X factor. As much as Steph Curry and certainly Draymond Green, Andrew Wiggins, do we see the 2022 version of Andrew Wiggins, the player that averaged 17 points a game? But Malika, when Mike Dunleavy talked, he talked about impatience here. And I know Steph Curry is under contract for the next three years, but when you have an MVP candidate like Curry, you have to maximize that window right now, not within that 3-year span.
Yeah, Bobby, come on back here, because I want to talk a little bit about what exactly does impatience mean here, because the Warriors, they have a couple of options, but the West is tough, and Steph's career, it's not going to last forever. So let's bring Kendrick Perkins back into the conversation here. Chiney Ogwumike, Perk, what does impatient mean to you when you hear that?
I don't know, but look, Steph is in the same category with LeBron. Every single time he's ready to go full strength, you're supposed to do your job of putting the pieces around him so he could go contend and try to win the title. Look, you can't have it with Steph Curry is always bringing chicken to the table and you bringing carrots. It just don't add up. You know what I mean? You got to match his appetite. You got to match his appetite. His appetite is winning championships. Is this a championship level roster? Absolutely not. Do I have faith and hope that Jonathan Kuminga and Podziemski, are they going to get better? Yes, they're going to get better, but it's a tough Western Conference. It's a tough league overall. The East has gotten better, and so Steph wants to win. The happiest I done seen Steph in the last 2 years is when he just won the gold medal and on the Olympic team. He was happy. He hasn't been happy in the Golden State Warrior uniform. That's just my opinion.
A big deal because this is a departure from what we've known Golden State always to be. Impatience, that's a different MO because we've known the Golden State Warriors to be truly developmental, right? That got them their dynasty. Steph, Klay, Draymond building together, skill development, even Jonathan Kuminga falling under that type of pattern. But now they're impatient, and to me, that means they have to capitalize on Steph Curry's prime. What he's able to do is still tremendous as a shooter, but also, most importantly, Steph Curry is a draw. Players want to play with Steph because they thrive in systems in which Steph plays. He's also the type of personality that people love to play with. So if you're gonna be able to have a talent like that, a generational talent, you need to be able to keep him happy. And we all know Steph, as we just saw, loves to win. So I want to spin this to you, Bobby, because to me, as you mentioned, it comes down to Wiggins and Kuminga, but especially Kuminga. Kuminga averaged 16 points per game coming off of a career year. What is the best way Golden State can look to their outcome as using Kuminga's contract or either his play for them to be able to draw the right amount of talent for Steph to feel good?
Well, I think that October 21st date comes into play. If there's an extension for Jonathan Kuminga, I would say we take him off the board as far as a trade candidate, just because of the restrictions that come with it. And I think it's similar to LeBron James in Los Angeles. When you have the Babe Ruth of basketball on your roster, you have to maximize that right now. And Golden State tried. When you look at Paul George from this summer, Larry Markin, we can even go back to the trade deadline with LeBron James when they kind of dipped their toe in the water a little bit there.
Right.
They've tried, but we've always said, hey, it takes two to tango, and you've got to find that dance partner to get that next star in Golden State. I think it's the little toe perk.
Well, but the question too, Bobby, you know, what's the saying, the Yoda, there is no try, only do. At some point, Steph has to say, okay, trying is good, but I need to see the results here because time is ticking.
In the world of basketball, there are players, there are legends, and then there's Steph Curry standing above them all as the greatest shooter in the history of the game, if not in all of sports. No one else has revolutionized the NBA quite like him, and the numbers don't just speak, they scream. Curry has obliterated every three-point record in existence, and to put it into perspective, with over 3,747 career three-pointers made, he has left legends like Ray Allen 2,973 and Reggie Miller 2,564 in the dust. These aren't just records, these are milestones that have changed the very DNA of the sport. But what makes it even more remarkable is the efficiency. He's not just taking shots, he's draining them at an unprecedented rate. With a lifetime three-point shooting percentage of 42.6%, Curry's mastery from beyond the arc isn't just about quantity, it's about pure, unadulterated quality. It's this consistent pinpoint accuracy that separates him from every other shooter in NBA history. This isn't just greatness, it's transcendence. And yet, for years, ESPN dragged their feet, reluctant to give Curry the credit he deserved. But now, as we sit here, they've been forced into a corner. They can't deny what's happening before their eyes. Steph Curry is dominating like no other, and it's leaving them no choice but to finally acknowledge the unshakable truth. It's a truth that should have been recognized long ago. But here we are, watching ESPN backtrack in the most awkward way possible. And as we watch ESPN's uncomfortable retreat, we turn to the undeniable facts. Steph Curry is not just an MVP candidate, he's the MVP. Let's talk facts. Steph Curry's dominance this season is not just obvious, it's staggering. In the 2024 NBA season, Curry is the clear MVP candidate. But it's not just about how many points he scores, it's how he scores them when he scores them, and the pressure under which he performs. Averaging 32.4 points per game on 54.1% shooting from the field, Curry's efficiency isn't just good, it's historic. And let's not forget, he's hitting 51.1% from three-point range. That's more than half of his shots from beyond the arc going in. This isn't normal. This is otherworldly. But his dominance doesn't stop at scoring. He's also leading the league in clutch performances. In fact, Curry tops the charts with 157 points in clutch situations. That's more than any other player in the league. He's made 49 field goals and 27 three-pointers when the game is on the line. That's what separates him from the rest. When the moment demands greatness, Curry delivers, and then some. This is where ESPN couldn't hold back any longer. They had to confront the reality that Curry is not only carrying the Golden State Warriors on his back, but he's doing it in a way that no one else in the league can match. Curry's numbers aren't just impressive, they're game-changing. Even in a league filled with elite talent, Steph Curry stands above the rest. His MVP candidacy is not up for debate, it's a foregone conclusion. And if those numbers aren't enough to convince you, let's delve into the moments that made ESPN finally break their silence. What defines Steph Curry more than anything else? His unparalleled ability to shoot from anywhere on the court, especially from three-point range. This season, Curry has racked up an astonishing 9-game winning three-pointers, more than any other player in the league. And it's not just the volume, it's the difficulty of these shots. We're talking about buzzer beaters, contested threes, shots that leave even the most seasoned NBA veterans shaking their heads in disbelief. ESPN, for all their reluctance over the years, simply couldn't ignore this any longer. When Curry hit those 9-game winners, they were left with no choice but to give him the respect he's long deserved. But you could sense the hesitation, the discomfort, the grudging admiration as they finally had to admit that Steph Curry is the most clutch player in the game today. Just think about this. No one else in the NBA comes close to matching Curry's ability to consistently hit clutch shots. He's single-handedly rewriting the playbook on how to win games in the final seconds. And for ESPN, watching Curry dominate the clutch stat lines while they were forced to praise him must have been a bitter pill to swallow. But Curry didn't stop there. His quest for greatness continued with yet another record-breaking performance, and ESPN had no choice but to watch. Every MVP race has its defining moment, and for Steph Curry, that moment came in February 2025. This was when Curry, already on track to become the first player in NBA history to hit 4,000 career three-pointers, crossed another milestone, his 3,747 three-pointer. In that moment, the basketball world stopped. ESPN, for all their previous doubts, had no choice but to acknowledge what was happening. Let's put this into context. Curry reached that milestone in just 51 games, 51. No one else in the league comes close to matching his ability to hit deep shots with such efficiency and consistency. This wasn't just a record, it was a statement, a declaration that Steph Curry is in a league of his own. And ESPN, who had previously doubted his longevity, were left with egg on their face as they scrambled to heap praise on him. But we all know those words were forced. Still, the world witnessed the greatness of Curry in full force. He's not just chasing history, he's making it with every game he plays. His performance has redefined what it means to be in VIP, and ESPN had to sit back and watch as their narrative crumbled. And while ESPN struggled to come to terms with Curry's dominance, the world was left asking, what's next for the undisputed MVP? What's perhaps the most satisfying part of Steph Curry's MVP run isn't just his dominance on the court, it's watching ESPN eat their words. For years, they downplayed his greatness, choosing to focus on other players while ignoring the man who was revolutionizing the game right in front of them. But 2025 has been different. Curry's level of play has been so extraordinary, so unignorable, that even ESPN couldn't keep up the charade. And now, in the most awkward fashion possible, they've been forced to praise him. In interviews, broadcasts, and articles, ESPN analysts have had to admit that Steph Curry is the frontrunner from VIP. But you can hear the reluctance in their voices, see the discomfort on their faces. This isn't genuine admiration, it's the public concession of a media giant that can no longer deny the truth. Steph Curry's greatness is undeniable. ESPN's backtrack is complete. And for the fans of Curry, watching this unfold has been nothing short of poetic justice. It's a fitting end to a narrative that should have been set straight years ago. But while ESPN struggles to reconcile their past doubts with Curry's current dominance, the future is looking brighter than ever for the man himself. So, what's next for Steph Curry? As we look to the future, one thing is certain, he's far from done. With his sights set on hitting 4,000 career three-pointers and continuing to lead the Golden State Warriors, Curry is poised for even more greatness. And if there's one thing we've learned, it's that you should never count him out. For ESPN, this may be the end of their resistance to Curry's dominance. But for Curry, it's just the beginning of another chapter in his legacy. His ability to stay at the top of the game, to continue delivering clutch performances and record-breaking shots, is something that no other player in the league can match. Steph Curry is not just an MVP contender, he's a legend in real time, rewriting the history of the sport as we watch. And while ESPN may have finally given him the praise he deserves, Steph Curry's dominance ensures that the story is far from over. Stay tuned, because the best is yet to come.